I want to call this out early because I'm sure there's going to be someone listening to this that'll hear about Rule 5.4, what's happening in Arizona and other markets, and say, hey, this is going to be a ways off. I don't have to worry about this in my lifetime. This is going to, perhaps the large, like the big four accounting firms, they're going to be the ones that are going to be the targets for this. It's not going to be my plaintiff's practice. What are your thoughts on this?
They're going to be out of business. So the people thinking that this is going to be out of their lifetime. So, I talked to you about this before recently, but I was in New York. I've been going to this conference for 8 years now, litigation finance, all Wall Street. My CFO goes every year, but I went 6 years ago was the last time I went. This time I went back because I was saying, it's the first time I don't need anything from any of these guys. I didn't need funding. I didn't need cash. I was just kind of wanting to feel the market out. Well, it's the same guys standing in the room, but it's the same guys that were at WeWork when they thought it was an interesting technology. It's the same guys, the benchmark capitals that you saw at Super Pumped and on all these movies. And that part I thought was interesting. I'm finally realizing that the same players that are investing in tech startups that disrupted the whole world are the same guys investing in litigation finance. Like the same emerging markets, the same groups, and the same people, like individuals. And so when you got those guys sitting in a room, and then you give them the ability to now start a law firm. So here's the distinction between a DC law firm that everyone used to know about, the ability to have a DC law firm with a non-lawyer partner, and a ABS, alternative business structure, out of Arizona. ABS actually allows a corporation to own part of a law firm. So now you don't have what Wall Street calls the type 1 problem, where there's an individual that you rely on, that guy dies, your deal dies. You can have a corporation. So if they think it's going to take forever, I know guys in Wall Street with more money than everyone listening combined, like Wall Street has, and they already have their own ABS systems that they own completely. So the ability to execute is no longer dependent on lawyers understanding these models. They're already trying to rip and replace and understand how it works.
So here's kind of a layup. What's their interest in this altogether? In the legal industry, in a law firm?
The biggest thing that I heard there that really resonated with me was some of the biggest players, some of the guys that got the biggest returns out of the group. I won't name names, I guess. But one of the biggest players made 37% of the market this year, right? Their hedge fund. And they charge 3 and 30, which is much more than the typical 2 and 20 model that most of these guys charge. And they're like, but they can. But you know what their strategy is in litigation finance? It's not to understand it. It's not to do their due diligence. They just throw every $10 to $50 million deal on the table. They'll throw 5 to 20 million behind it, because the entire market, they say, is one of the most overpriced, undervalued investments that you can make in the entire world right now. So the price on capital is the highest price on capital. To borrow money as a lawyer, you have to pay more than anybody else. The worth and the asset is just undervalued. So you're getting so much more return on your capital with no risk. And so they're willing to just throw all the money in the world at it. It's the best investment there is. And I say that in the terms of Wall Street, where there's limited things you can put a lot of money into. You got basically 4 things. You got commodities, you got stocks, you got bonds, you got real estate, right? And outside of that, what can you put $100 million into over and over again? You got the U.S. market, billion-dollar tort market, or $500 billion tort market. So excuse me. And then you got the international arbitrage market and the commercial market. So it's a huge, huge space, a real commodity form.